Just pulled up to the gym. It's unfortunately like a little crummy outside today. A little rainy, a little gloomy. But what I will say is these are some of the days that you'll make the best progress you'll ever find. Or at least in comparison to everybody else around you. Because when people see gloom, you see an opportunity, right? Go there, go into the gym. Don't just lay in bed all day and sulk. Today's the perfect day to get out and... We just finished up a great chest day. Let's take the pump cover off and see what we're dealing with today, huh? I always try to stay covered up when I lift. It's like an art project, but you wouldn't want to show the painting until it's done. Fuck. Oh, you know, you don't need to be working out in $75 shirts. I think this thing cost me $8. Holy shit. Ooh. Nice and round today. Whew. Do a front lat spread and we'll call it a day. It's fun when you're bulking because you have all the fat to pinch onto, but when you're shredded, it's not really there. Ooh, baby. It is a gloomy, rainy, wet, some might say moist chest day. And what we did, excuse me, what we did was fucking get after it today. Now, chest for me is a funny muscle group right now because I've been teetering with the results of a pec tear that happened back in March, and it's like September right now, mid-September. It was a really bad pec tear. It wasn't off the bone, but every PT that I went to said that it was basically the worst of a best case scenario, meaning that it didn't tear off the bone, but I tore the muscle as much as it could possibly be torn before ripping off the bone. I remember what had happened. I was on the incline press and my shoulder and like bicep pec area had been hurting for quite a while, but I was putting it off like an idiot. Now, whenever I would lift, I'd get like a minor sharp pain in there. It was nothing serious, nothing to write home about, so I kind of just kept brushing it off and brushing it off. I would always train with the 130s on an incline. Now, whenever I train, I use a very strict time of detention sort of training method. So I go down real slow, pause the bottom, come up, squeeze every single rep. And I would usually get the 130s for, I don't know, like 8 reps or so, give or take. That'd be my basic training rep range. Excuse me, I've had something in my throat for like a week and it's driving me crazy. But on that day that I tore it, it was beginning of March, I had hit 1, 2, and on that third rep I came down and I heard and I felt it. I'm like, oh no, that's not good. Immediately I went to push the weights back up, and when I felt it, I'm like, okay, this is a really sharp pain right now. I knew if I pushed those weights up, I could have gotten them up. I'm like, I'm gonna rip something even worse. So I dropped them immediately. I sat up and like a balloon, you saw my pec just begin to suck up full of blood. God, I hate this little tripod. I gotta figure out something better than this. I saw it just inflame in front of my eyes. Now, thankfully, there was 0 black and blue, which was my sign of relief in a way, where I was like, okay, I didn't tear anything off the bone, but it was close. It was really close. So what happened was I tore my pec and my bicep all in one, that whole complex right there. And I've been dealing with that ever since. Meaning that, you know, I can't really do shoulder presses for a while. I haven't tried them yet, but when I've tried to press at 50s, 60s, whatever, it felt fine. But no real working weights for me, like 100s, 120s, things like that. And when it comes to my chest presses or any pec movement, when the injury first happened, I couldn't even close a car door. I went to try to close a car door, it would just send a shooting pain through my body. I'm like, oh boy. So from there, I've been doing something in my little notebooks. I'm calling it micro gains. Where for me, what micro gains means is simply, even if I have the strength to push out, let's say 3 or 4 more reps and a new weight today and everything's feeling really good, the days I felt that way and did so, where I listened to my body in a way in that aspect, and it felt great, so I pushed it even harder and harder when I was trying to deal with that injury, I found myself getting set back 2 weeks instead of progressing forward, because it would get like a minor strain. This person could choose where you're gonna go. That's great, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate that. So, where was I? Micro gains. So what I'm allowing the micro gains to do is, even if I'm feeling significantly better that day, I'm only going to increase the rep range or the weights like I have been, to ensure that I don't actually hurt myself even more. So if I'm feeling great, let's say last week I did, I don't know, 80-pound chest presses for 10 reps. I don't want to go past the 12 rep range spot. So if I feel that 10 felt great, I'll push it to 12. And even that felt smooth as butter. I'm not going to go, okay, today's the week I'm going to do the 90s. No. What I'm going to do is the following week, I go in there at the 80s again. I solidify those 2 brand new reps, meaning that today's workout wasn't just a good fluke or a great day. It's, okay, I can now do those 80s for 12 reps again. Now the following week, I'll jump up to the 90s. The 5-pound increments for me at that range, they really don't do anything for me anymore. So I need those 10-pound increments, but I'll jump up to the 90s, and then I'll hit 8 reps, no matter what, just the 8. And I'll see how I feel. Because you gotta remember, I'm training in a rep range that, muscular-wise, was always very comfortable for me. The weight was no problem. But I need to ensure that my tendons can handle it. So, if you've ever tried to get real strong real fast, you'll know that, oops, someone just got pulled over. Sucks, buddy. You'll know that your muscles get stronger significantly faster than your tendons do. And that's the leading cause of 90% of injuries in the gym. It's just, people kind of get too strong for their own good, too quickly, in a way. Even if your muscles were capable of it, your tendons are like, dude, we need more time to adapt and recover. So what's exciting and where I led into all that was last week was the first day where I did anything in regards to an incline pec movement since I actually injured my pec. Of course I tried right away, you know what I mean? But it didn't go so well. It kept hurting and hurting and hurting. And last week I went on like a flex press machine where it's super smooth. They have it at the gym I trade at. And I just used a quarter on each side, 35, went up to 45s, hit like 8 reps, whatever, it felt great. Which was a huge relief, and I felt a great pump from it. because I hadn't really trained that part of my muscle in isolated form in quite a while. Now, this week, I went in there to go solidify it. Like I was saying, go solidify the new micro gains. And it went perfect. Except on that last rep, like the last set of the 45 pounds for 8 reps, it felt perfectly smooth, so I went up to 12. But I'm not going to jump up to 55 on each side or 75, whatever. I left it at the 12, and I'm just going to progress from there. So next week I'll go up. Unfortunately, it's not a very fun way to train. When I used to train chest, I was very explosive with it. But now, in a way, I kind of have to train it a little scared, which is it's just no fun, you know? So everything is cold, calm, calculated. Even on the decline hammer press, where I used to just fucking throw it up there. But now it has to be very controlled, and I have to make sure I'm feeling what I'm supposed to feel. God forbid I stretch back too far and set myself back 4 months of recovery. Because after every workout, I still do feel it a little bit. Not in a painful way, but in like that spot is not significantly, but slightly more pumped than the whole rest of the muscle is. Because it weakened. So that weakened area, you know, it was harder for that part of the muscle to train itself compared to the rest of the pec. Because it was heavier weight for that little spot compared to this whole thing. You know? But for my chest days, I really only do 4 movements. So it used to be starting with the dumbbell incline press. And I mean a really mild incline, like a 30-degree incline, something subtle. Because anything more than that, you're hitting a lot more shoulders than you want to be when you're trying to isolate your pecs. But since I haven't been able to do those, I've been doing a flat dumbbell press. Now, I'll start with a flat dumbbell press, super slow, calm, calculated. And I'll have 1 balls out work set. But once again, my balls out work sets can't be as explosive as I always liked. So, unfortunately, they're a little tapered back. But it's just slowly building it up, because right now it's kind of like pectoral PT, where I'm just trying to get myself back to my former glory of them. Fortunately, my pecs were always pretty good. I always had pretty good chest in the gym, so it didn't really fall behind. It's pretty much on par with the rest of my physique now, instead of an overpowering muscle group. But from those flat presses, I go to a decline hammer machine. Same thing, come back, up, squeeze, and just get a great feel for it. Now, I can do that flex incline press I was telling you about. I can play with that right after my decline hammer again, which, man, it feels great to have that back in my life. From there, I go to dumbbell flies. And as far as my chest movements are concerned, that's pretty much it. Because I'm all about maximizing my intensity when I do every single workout. But if I do 1,000,000 sets, you know, I get to that work set and I'm fatigued. So if I do some more presses, let's say, after I finish those dumbbell flies, because, well, you know, my pecs and my triceps and my shoulders are already fatigued from 3 different presses and the flies. So it's not going to be nearly the intensity that the pecs would need to drum up to build more muscle mass. So instead, I go full on balls out, like I always say, on those other sets, so that I can actually give my muscles a reason to improve. Like the cap gun theory I said in a previous video, where the muscle's like a cap gun. And you need that one set to just fucking blow it off. In a good way. But I'll usually do chest and core together. So I'll do the chest movements, then I'll hit some rope crunches, some leg raises, and I'm out of there. You know, a muscle group like that, I'm in and out of the gym in maybe hour 15. So it's a nice quick day. And then I can go home, I can feed the muscle, and I feel a lot better. But it's exciting to see it getting better and better every single week, you know? I was looking at the back of like nutritional labels recently. And sure, you know, they're always horrendous if you're looking at something that's in a box and processed. But one thing I found interesting was when you look at the percentage of required amounts for the day, as in like the government says you should have this much protein per day, this many fats, this many carbs, and so on and so forth. If you look at how many grams of protein they say you should have for the day, they say the average person should have about 50 grams of protein a day, which is utter... God, I fucking hate these people. Go, dude, what are you doing? Sometimes they're speeding up, trying to cut around you, and then they stop on an intersection where it merges. But as I was saying, when you have somebody like the government who's saying, hey, you should only eat 50 grams of protein a day. My theory has always been, if they tell you to do something, you should probably do the opposite. You'll be better off, at least health-wise, because they want us weak and frail. They want us estrogenic, low testosterone, not willing to think for ourselves or fight back or stand up for what we believe in. If we just blindly adhere to everything they say, eat 50 grams of protein. Why? Oh, well, so you're fat and you don't have any muscle mass on you and you have low confidence and low testosterone. Okay, government, no problem. People just blindly follow that forever. And man, it's a really sad thing to see. You know, you wonder why so many people later on in life have chronic health issues. Aside the fact that we're basically eating poison our entire lives, because that's what most of the food nowadays is. And I say food very lightly because it's edible. But when we're consuming poison and we're not using our bodies for what they're made to be used for, which is running, training, being active, being mobile, and we just sit down all day and do nothing with them, man, of course we're unhealthy, you know? There's no surprise there. And on that note, I am back at the house, and it's time to eat some motherfucking food. Until next time.